Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. I know it's really cold, and it was a big ask to get you guys to come out every single time, but we really appreciate you taking the time, especially getting out in the cold and dealing with all the. We thought it was going to be a snowmageddon, so it could have been worse, but it's just as cold. So, but we are Clever Kaiju, and something that we are really shooting for this year is to do a lot more in person and a lot more interactive and involving events and videos, just to engage with our community more. The past year has been awesome for Clever Kaiju, building our community and the outreach has been awesome. And so a huge thank you to all of you for sharing what we're doing and being involved and being a part of it. The Discord has been blowing up, and it's all because of all of you, all the attention, all the sharing, all the art advice. We've reached numbers and we've reached distances that we didn't really consider in such a short amount of time. So this past year has been awesome. So we decided for 2024 that we're going to focus most of our attention on the studio side, but really just to keep building the community and reinforcing what we do in Clever Kaiju and strengthening our relationship with you guys. So this is a bit of a test, but we are planning to meet every second Sunday of every month, somewhere local here. Big Mama's has been kind of a major staple in our origin story. But every now and then we may have to locate to different places. But every second Sunday we meet up. We just hang out and draw and catch up and talk about each other's projects and what we're working on. But we also wanted to take an opportunity to invite industry artists, people of all different walks of life, to bring them in, explain their story, their career, what they do, how they got there, as at least some sort of insight as to what's available in the art industry, actually, in a handful of industries, things that a lot of us artists didn't really even know existed, certain paths that we never considered before. So today, we have a very special guest. He's a colleague of mine, a very talented illustrator and tattoo artist, co-founder, co-owner of Cryptic Tattoo and Social Gallery, David.
It's
David James Tattoo. Yay! Round of applause. Well, thanks for coming all the way out here, man. It was a little bit of a drive, and the weather and whatnot.
in the cold.
In the cold, but you got your beanie. You're fine.
I'm good.
Little poof.
And a little bit.
So you have been tattooing for how long?
25 years this year.
25? Right on. And were you an artist in any other way, like before tattooing, or did you learn kind of at the same time?
No, all through grade school.
All through grade school?
Grade school, yeah. And then into high school. And I started my career way late, 10 years too late.
10 years too late into tattooing?
Yeah.
Did you want to be an artist in any other form before tattooing?
No. I was a musician before that.
Oh, a musician. That's cool. Were you the graphic artist of your band?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. Not at all. I shifted gears late. It was 97 when I shifted and was like, you know what? I played my last show on stage and stepped off and was like, you know what? I want to do something different. And a couple of years later, I had a machine in my hand and off I went.
Yeah. You were you ran a hair salon before that, and that's an art form, at least to me.
Yeah.
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 So I bet that was a trip.
Just another job.
What did your family think when you were like, you know what, I'm going to leave hair and I'm going to start tattooing?
No, because it was there was a transition between that, because I was a musician. I was managing the salons, and then it was a step between there. I ended up leaving that and going and actually working for the state, and had a job then doing working with motor vehicles. And from there it was the transition over into the tattooing and maintaining a full-time job and driving an hour after work to go to the tattoo shop and spending from 6 to midnight there at the shop, and then an hour home and back to bed, and then up again and be at work at 8, and 6 days a week. That's what it was. Boom, nonstop for a few years.
So how old were you when you started your apprenticeship?
Oh, now you're going to make me do math. Wow. So 25, 50, I was 27,
27?
I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for a lot of tattoo artists, they kind of step into the game like pretty early, like they're around like 18, 19 or whatever. So
that's why I said I started 10 years too late. I should have started like right out of high school, and then if I would have done that, we'd be talking 35 years right now.
Well, I was like 26, so But
I mean, I look at the industry and how far it's come, and if I would have started 10 years sooner, I think I would be in a different spot.
Do you think 35 years would be a big difference compared to 25 years?
As far as the learning curve, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot that's happened in 10 years in the industry. I mean, that's a big gap. I mean, the industry was looked at differently, 10 years prior to me starting.
Okay.
The people that I know now in the business that I met back then, it was very, very different, very different. And I kind of wish that I would have started 10 years sooner with the people that I knew. I mean, it was a great group of people to have been around and have grown up with. But, at 18, I had no clue that I was going to be a tattoo artist. Didn't ever, you put in the work in school and do all those things. You have a knack for art, and you just don't put those together that, okay, I'm going to be a tattoo artist. But
because when you're not tattooing, you do a lot of like traditional, like pencil and graphite, like illustration drawings and stuff. And at Cryptic, the whole studio is full of like a lot of your illustrations. And it was like, was that the art style that you had back then and you translated into tattooing, or did you approach tattooing with the idea of doing something different than what you did on traditional paper?
No, I wanted to be able to translate what I did on paper to skin.
So it was like almost photorealism, portrait kind of work, like really, really high detail.
I've always been into the darker side of art.
Yeah.
Monsters and things like that. But to translate, I always wanted to translate what I did on paper onto skin. That's what it's always been about for me.
Very cool. Did you discover other art styles that you really liked, like in tattooing? Like, I don't care to do this on paper or on my iPad, but I love doing this on skin.
New school stuff.
Yeah.
Is new school traditional is really, really cool.
It is. Yeah, I agree.
I've done a few pieces like that have been quite fun.
Yeah.
Wish I could do more of it. It's not something that I put on paper and draw. I just, it doesn't, because I like that black and gray style, it doesn't translate. There's more color involved with that. And it's just something that I haven't ventured into. Not that it couldn't be done or that I couldn't do it. It's just not a niche that, entertains me a lot. It's more, I want to do this, and, that's what's fun to me.
When you sought out your apprenticeship, did you have a portfolio of your drawing, like the art style that you have, like that photorealism graphite?
No, actually I didn't. It's kind of funny because the stuff that I went into the shop with was stuff that was very cartoonish. It was very sticker looking, and it wasn't no dimension. It was just very flat. and color and, you know, stuff like that. Nothing like what I draw now, which is weird. So, you know, going in with that. Now, when I went to Nevada, that all kind of shifted, and I started doing a lot more large scale drawings, all pencil drawings. But it's weird when you walk into a studio and you're trying to place yourself into a place, and then they're looking at it as, oh, well, this is prison art. This is this, you know, where they were categorizing the style of art that I drew versus what the shop was producing. And the shop was producing illustrated flowers and things of that nature. So it's like, okay, well, you know, I like the dark side of art, and you apparently don't, and that's all good with me. You know, I'll go about my business. You know, I've always wanted to venture back into a few of those studios that told me that stuff and go, okay, tell me that now. Where are you guys? What do you get? Yeah, what are you guys doing? Because this is what I'm doing. So, you know, it's kind of funny when you look at those situations. You're just like, wow, you know, you kind of want to go and just rub the nose in it. And, you know.
Well, and 25 years ago, you know, like what you could and couldn't do, you know, in tattooing, or at least wasn't considered like doable. Like, oh, you couldn't do that. You can't do that. You can't put that on skin. I mean, that's changed a lot, and there's a lot of different hybrids of styles. But like,
but back then, I was nowhere near the artist that I am now.
Yeah.
So it does. I always look back and think, what kind of artist would I have been had I joined a few of those studios? Would I be where I'm at? Would I be doing the type of designs that I'm doing?
Your apprenticeship, how long did that take? Like, and what was that process like?
My apprenticeship actually was not the traditional type of apprenticeship that I probably would have liked. I think that I was more self-taught. I think that my apprenticeship lasted all but maybe 6 months, if that. I really wanted to, you know, learn stuff. I had to really learn a lot on my own. There wasn't a lot that was taught to me. A lot of it was self-taught. Picking up stuff from other people, watching other things, literally learning my needle depth with coil machines from watching other people, because it was not shown to me that, okay, you should set your needle like this and do this. I sat down, loaded up, you know, set up my machine and just blasted through a piece on my kneecap.
On your own kneecap.
On my own knee, and was just like, here we go. This is what's going to happen.
You're your first victim.
And was just blown away at how much I didn't really know and how much I wasn't shown or taught anything. And was like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. This is not how this should be. And
I mean, it's probably pretty cool at first. And then
it is. But then once you really sell yourself on what you're wanting to do, you realize that, okay, something's wrong. This isn't working. This isn't how this is supposed to be. And then I'd go up and I'd just start watching other people going, oh, that's how you do this. That's how you do this. And slowly but surely put the 2 and 2 together, and was like, I should have been taught this a long time ago. Right. And off I went, you know, venturing into, once you learn that and you're like, okay, and then you get to work on your first actual client, you know, you're just scared to death going, you know, holding your breath when you draw, you know. That's a thing. You hold your breath when you draw, really? But you really do. You're just
you warn the client, I'm holding my breath. You don't have to hold yours. You should probably breathe, because then you'll start shaking.
Yeah. You had to hold your breath, or else I would just you know. I'm like, I'm all good. You know, I God rest her soul, the person that I did my very first piece on isn't here anymore with us. But yeah, it was kind of neat. She was always gung ho. She was like, sure, I'll let you tattoo whatever. I'm like, you know what? Oh, that's so awesome. You know, and I was still doing the hair stuff too. That was like early before I transitioned over to working.
So they did kind of cross.
They kind of crossed each other, but you know, she was like, "Yeah, I'll let you do tattoos on me. That's cool." I'm like, "All right, here we go." You know, but it's crazy, you know, when I go back and I'll be doing stuff and going through boxes, and I'll come across photos of my first tattoos and how bad the lines were. And it's horrible. It's horrible. I cringe. I'm like, wow, I did that to somebody. Sorry, my bad. I'll fix it. Come and see me. I got you, man. I got you.
So it's safe to say that, like, no matter, and this probably applies to any like art medium, and especially more so now that I call it an art renaissance, especially with all the information and everything at our fingertips. Anything we want to learn and everything we want to dive into and explore, you know, is readily available, which wasn't available, you know, even all that long ago. But like, it's safe to say that even seasoned professionals can think back at a time where they're just doing what they can with what they have, and they're just making stuff up as they go. And they're just like, well, this is what I have. And you may look back on it when you're later on and be like, oh, that's cringy. I don't know why they even let me. Why did they hire me? You know, the imposter syndrome is real. But some of it you just learn as you go. Sometimes it's when you kind of have when you're in the fire. You know,
tattooing is a hands-on thing. I mean, come on, that's what we do. I mean,
I learned gravity.
You're not going to learn unless you dive into it and just start doing things and understanding. I hate to say this, understanding your mistakes.
Yeah.
And then looking at those and applying, you know, what you've learned from that to make it better the next time and the next time and the time after that. I mean, I'm 25 years in and still looking at stuff going, okay, this is what I could do better. And this is what I could do better, just for the betterment of not just myself, but my clients.
But if you ever step into the ring, in any ring that you're in, whether, you know, design, illustration, like fabrication, anything, and tattooing, you know, there's always that first step. And it's like, if you wait until you are ready, or you have all your chops, or you know, that you know everything to step in, then you'll never make that step. So there's always that conscious decision to be like, you know what, I'm not going to know everything. I'm not going to be 100% ready. But part of that process is learning as you go, and that's okay.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and then, you know, the nerves and the anxiety and the thrown up in a parking lot before a session.
I've never done that.
I mean, I did, but I
felt a little antsy and on edge, you know, going into pieces, but I've never thrown up before.
But then it goes no matter what industry you're in. You know, those feelings of like, I'm not ready for this, I'm not prepared for this, I'm not good enough for this. That's normal. And
no, that is normal.
And if you care about the work you do, no matter what it is, I've learned that just means you're doing it right. You care about it. And I don't know, it's just a fascinating trip since I've gotten into tattooing, where it's like, you know you're doing it right when you have peers and you have other people that inspire you, but you still feel scared to be a part of them, and you have that imposter syndrome, like, I don't belong here, like I'm still waiting for the rest of Kaiju to know I'm a fraud. I mean, you, though, we own a business together now. I mean, technically, Kaiju, we own a business now. So you guys are invested. Sorry, you're stuck with me, both of you. We're so screwed.
Why didn't you warn me?
You're stuck here with me. Very cool. Well, man, I appreciate you coming in. We have some examples of some pieces that I reached through and that I really admired. And you can check David out on Instagram at David James Tattoos. Facebook is Tattoos by David James.
Yep.
Okay. You find us on Cryptic Tattoo and Social Gallery on Facebook, cryptictattoogallery.com, as well as...
I'm glad you remember all those.
Well, I probably made most of them. Well, no, Kelsey too. But also, he's been featured actually in the Pen Click. I think it was season 2. We did an episode where we took old characters.
That's been a minute.
We took old characters, like notable cartoon characters, and gave them tattoos, like what kind of tattoos they'd want. You did a Betty Boop.
What tattoos?
Yeah, with tattoos. You took Betty Boop and you gave her some kind of a classic pin.
That Betty is kind of cool.
Yeah. So we'll have to check out the episode of that. But that was a lot of. We need to go back and do that another episode of that, and we have you on. And But yeah, so David James. Oh. Of course, as soon as we start. Yeah, I know. There we go. So let's talk about this piece. Now this was a trip because I was there when you were working on this one. How many? It's a color portrait.
That was my first.
It was your very first.
My very
and I only
first.
recently learned that it was your first.
That was my very first color portrait I ever did on skin.
And you do a lot of like black and gray.
Black and gray all day, yeah. Color is a whole different monster.
You know, when you think about which artist has which skills and like the wheelhouse, when somebody's like, hey, I'm thinking about this, and like somebody pops off in your head like, oh, you want like portrait, in black and gray portrait. That's totally David. But this one was your very first cut, and this was recently. This is within the last couple of years, like about a year ago.
Yeah, a couple of years.
So talk about this. Like, how did this conversation go?
That way, it was a short and sweet conversation. It was, I want a Catwoman. Okay. And I want the Michelle Pfeiffer one. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, we're doing this black and gray, right? She's like, nope. We're doing this in color. And I would just, my heart sunk. I was just like, wow, because I am not ready for this.
24 years in, and he gets that feel that.
Right? Yep, heart sunk. And I was just like, okay, here we go. And you can't tell a client that's been coming to you for over a decade, no, I'm not going to do that. And she's one that has literally pushed my limits and really, brings out sometimes the best in me, because she'll just hand me a piece and a project and go, look, this is what I want to do. And she has all the faith in the world that I will do what I need to do to make it happen. And we sit and we did it. And there you go. The rest is history.
So she's one of those clients, and everybody, and I mean, you always have that one.
She's like a unicorn.
The unicorn client.
I have like I said, I've tattooed her for a good decade. I know her like she's, a sister. I know her life stories, and I've been through so much with her, and she's been through so much with me, and it's crazy. You share a lot of that camaraderie, between each other, that they become part of you. Every client that I tattoo is a part of me in some way, shape, or form. When something happens to them, it affects me and bothers me, not because they're not in my chair. It's because I have that kinship with them, and when they get hurt, I'm hurt, and that bugs me. But she's been a faithful client for quite a long time. I mean, one of those that, she's generally in my chair, once a month.
How often do you think you have like clients that are that close that push you? You know
what? They're almost kind of like your best friends.
Yeah.
You have a handful throughout your life, and I've got a good solid handful that are consistent people that are in my chair on a regular.
Right on.
Which is good. When you spend, years, with them being in your chair on a regular basis, you again develop that really closeness and that close friendship with them, and you learn a lot about a person.
How many sessions did this take?
Starting knowing that this was my first play, I want to say this took 4 to complete. Just because I'm kind of meticulous like that. It probably would have taken another artist 2. But with it being my first and a lot going on with it, it took me 4 sessions to get it the way I wanted it.
And that's really cool, man. No, you seemed to handle it fine. I was watching over your shoulder. I think we were talking by then. And
probably so.
I was looking over your shoulder. It seemed like did you apply a lot of the techniques? Because thankfully it's heavily black, but still, was it completely out of your wheelhouse, or was it like, did you apply what you knew in black and gray, but like with the color?
It's It's a lot alike. I mean, you just still kind of have to shift gears because there's so many different color schemes going on there.
Yeah.
That you got to figure out the transitions.
Mm-hmm.
There are some similarities to doing the black and gray. When you get into doing like the facial features and things like that, I mean, it's the same concept. You just have to flip it.
I got you. Alrighty. So let's see what the next one we got here. Come on. There we go. So this is a little more.
This was more in line with what I like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. This is like probably one of my favorite pieces.
Your favorite?
Yeah, yeah.
And
absolutely.
then you did a follow-up of Joey, their drummer.
Yeah.
Like on the same client. And that looked incredible too.
Yep. And he's since then gotten a Paul Gray.
Oh, yeah.
And we're probably looking in August to adding to that collection. We're going to add a fourth member.
You're going to get all 9?
We're going to put all 9
a whole
on there.
Slipknot sleeve.
Yeah. But yeah, this is probably one of my all-time favorite pieces that I've ever tattooed.
And this was one he got a hold of you like, hey, I want to do.
There was some discussion early on with him getting tattooed that he wanted to do a Slipknot sleeve, and I was like, yeah, sure, let's do this. Crazy part is that when we started it in March of 2022, and that was the beginning of me getting into my health issues. I had some health issues.
Yeah.
And I started this and the goal was to finish it at the show. Didn't happen. I got probably 3.5 hours in and had to pull the plug, which was really upsetting. And it took me several months before I could get back to it and complete it, and was extremely happy that it turned out the way that it did. Missouri Con had Corey Taylor show up, and goal was to show this off to Corey Taylor and go check this out, and it kind of fell through. It didn't happen.
Yeah, they wouldn't allow you to have
which was upsetting. I really wanted Corey to see this piece.
I'm sure he will. I mean, we tried tagging him and stuff, and I'm sure we'll get a chance to see it.
Yeah, at some point.
So this one would have been, you did this at a convention, right? You
started it at a convention.
You started it.
Yeah.
You were gonna enter it into competition, but your health failed on you, so you had to.
That put a damper on things really quick.
2 sessions then?
2 sessions, yeah.
Yeah, but it could have been done in one. That's impressive.
But yeah, the detail in those dreads, I think, was like the funnest part of that whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the dreadlocks turned out really, really cool in that mask.
See what we have lined up next. So this one is an extra special piece.
This is a special one, dear to my heart, and will always be dear to my heart. Always. This one took first place just as the lockdown happened for COVID. Took first place, best neo-traditional. This is done on a dear friend of all of ours, Kevin Watkins, and Kevin's not with us anymore. And this piece always will hold a special place to me.
We have an image of Kevin, like one of the first things you see when you walk into Cryptic, done by our own Clever Kaijus, Gary Bedell. Very, very beautiful piece of art. And then next to it is this picture with the award. And, we did it, by Kevin.
Now, isn't the logo too? It's an eye, isn't it?
Yeah. So the Cryptic logo is actually Kevin's eye. So we have him strategically placed throughout, everything we do now.
Kevin's a special part of that whole thing.
Yeah. And
like
so
without Kev, that Cryptic wouldn't be what it is.
Special element to the art scene.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just like, he played a major role. Like, I mean, I wouldn't know you if it wasn't for Kev. You know, Kev knew a lot of people, introduced me to a whole lot of people. I mean, you and I have done work together and collaborated on a few things, and you know, if like I said, he was a glue for a lot of things. Yep. And
his loss sent shockwaves through several communities.
Oh yeah.
But this was the first like neo-traditional piece that you done?
Yeah. You know, Kev came to me. It was weird. He had always wanted something like this, and one day it was like, dude, I know what I want, and I was like, okay. And he came to me. He says, I want something along these lines. I want this face, and I want, you know, I like the leaves. Can we do something like that? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Kevin was kind of a I don't want to call him a wimp, you know, when it came to tattooing him, you know. But that session was I want to say almost 7 hours. Kevin took that like a champ. Like, we sat down and blasted that black out, got the hair done. Once we did that, he was like, holy cow, I'm surprised I've made it this far. And I'm like, dude, we're almost done. And we sat down and powered through that. And he was just literally smitten over this piece. You know, his other calf had what we called Shark to Con. Shark Con, that's another conversation for another day. But when we got that done, yeah, he was so happy with that. You know, like I said, I can't speak enough about this piece. It's definitely one of my again, another favorite of mine that I've done. So
I'd say a common theme then is, you know, trust the people that believe in you, and like convincing them that, you know, your feelings and insecurities about what you're doing. You know, there's people that have faith in you probably more than you have in yourself, but it's those people that push you to push those boundaries.
Yeah.
And to like kind of step into things. Whenever I first started tattooing, my wife wanted to keep it things that, you know, you're into, but I know you want to do these things. And like, I would be drawing it up almost resentful, because I'm just like, you're going to ruin your body with this. I suck at this. And then they were major staples that would like, oh, apparently this is a part of me now. And,
right.
You know, so when you have those people that support you and push you, you know, and trust in you, sometimes you just got to listen to them, because there's something in you that you don't see yourself.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, that day was it was a really good day. You can just you can feel that vibe. You could tell, you know, when we sat down and I had that stencil on, I'm like, you know what, this is going to be something cool. And, you know, when it was done, you could step back and it was just like, holy crap, that's something else, you know. And then when the client looks at it and they're just as smitten over it as you are, you know, I remember him showing that off to his wife, and he messaged me. He was like, dude, Audrey loves this. It's so amazing. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you like it. You know, I think it's super cool, you know, and of course, this piece was one of the last conversation things that we had, was this tattoo and entering it into a contest. And, you know, it's a shame that he wasn't around to see it take that award and see the aftermath of it.
Well, rest in power, Kevin, you jerk. All right. And then lastly, we have, so this was cool. I think I was there when you were working on this one too.
This was a fun piece. This was definitely out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Again, another full-blown color that, you know, you start doubting yourself when you see it. You're just like, oh my gosh, here we go. You're like, man, I gotta do this in full. And what made it more difficult was the placement of it, because that is literally on the inside of the thigh.
So like right here.
Yeah. Well, not really. It's more in the closer to the pelvic area. It's on the top inside, which is an extremely tender spot. That one took about 4.5 sessions to do. Just a ton of color, just because I'm not really. I don't want to say I'm not a color artist. I enjoy doing color, but color is a challenge. When you sit down, you have to do that. When you're so used to doing everything in black and gray, you kind of have to flip the switch again and go a different direction. And it's a great piece of work. I absolutely love this piece, the way it turned out.
The way you treated the lighting in it's really good too, man. It gives it so much dimension.
Yeah, doing all the making sure all the light sources were done right. Doing the eels. The eels were probably the hardest out of all of that.
There's so many different tonal shifts and stuff.
Yeah, the eels have several different shades to them. So yeah, that piece was quite the challenge, especially like I said with placement and location of it. Definitely another favorite of mine. That one's going to come down. That one's going to go into competition for the first time this coming April.
At the Carnival of Ink
in Springfield. Yeah.
That's going to be awesome, man.
So if you want to get a close look and you're in Springfield and you want to see it up close, then there's your chance. There's your opportunity.
Well, man, as you know, I admire you, and I want to be like you.
No, you don't.
I want to be like Gary, and I want to be like so many different people. I don't know.
Right? Maybe
Maybe I just don't like me. I don't know. No, that's not true. That's a little rough. But I really admire you and really your transparency, like just your ability to explain, like, yeah, this is hard, but you're not alone. And that's a big part of Kaiju in general is the fact that, there's a lot of people out there who don't know what it's like, and that, their struggles and their insecurities are perfectly fine, perfectly normal. You don't have to know what you're doing. You just jump in and learn it as you go. Sometimes, but understand that there's still, that responsibility, that diligence to keep pushing and keep learning. And
the minute you say, you know what, I was told by somebody that I consider a mentor to me, Sean Anderson, that the minute you stop learning and you stop critiquing your work is the minute you need to get out.
That's fair. I think that translates over across everything. Yeah.
There's always room to learn, and there's always room to do better.
Yeah.
In this business, always. And if you don't look at your stuff, the minute you're looking at your stuff going, you know what, this is good, I don't need to improve. I mean, there's numerous things about all those pieces that I could look at, that I could probably find things that I need to do better. It's rare that you get one of those pieces that you just knock out of the park and you're like, you know what, I don't think there's anything I could do
that
to
drive
that
home at the end of the day,
to make it better. I always I get home and after doing a tattoo and that I think is great, and I can sit down and pull it up and just I'll look at it and look at it and look at it and look at it and go, oh, I should have done this. I should have done this. Should have done this. And the good thing about doing stuff on paper or canvas is that you can go back and make those adjustments and those changes. When you do a tattoo, it's permanent. It's kind of hard to go back and go, oh, I need to change this or I need to do this, and you can't really do that. It's once it's there, it's there. So
very cool, man. Are there any questions from anyone in the house for David?
What you were just saying earlier about how you'll go back and look at pieces and you'll say like, oh, I should have done this better. I should have done that better. I think that's actually a good thing and a common thing, because if you sit there and go, oh yeah, this is just right, I nailed it, I did it right, then you're not learning anything.
Right.
And you're not willing to learn anything
Right. You're not willing to take that next step to make it better.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're not looking back at yourself going, oh my God, and even compared to the stuff you're doing now, then it's like you said, there's no progression.
I think, you know what, I think it just hit me is that like when you guys draw things on paper and or canvas or whatever, and you look at it and you think that you're done, and then you send it to print and it prints, and then you're done and you got the print setting in front of you, and then you're looking at it and then you realize, oh, I should have done this. That's, it's kind of like once the tattoo's done, you're just like, oh, well.
12
and
bucks later.
you're like, okay, now it's on print. I can't go back and make an adjustment. I can't change it. It is what it is, So, there's very few that I think I've got one piece hanging up in the lobby of the shop that I don't think I could literally make any adjustment to, because to me, it's that good. I'm like, okay,
yeah. And it's good to have
I can pat myself on for that one, because that one is
you're allowed
probably
to be
one
proud
of the most
yourself
stellar
for
pieces
things,
I think I've ever drawn, and I'm like, it's going to be hard to top that.
When you're taking pictures and you're so proud and the client's so happy, and you did a piece,
and then they walk out and you're like, oh my God.
And then you're like, yeah, I'm feeling good. And then it's that car ride home, you're just like, oh
yeah, man.
And it's like, great. Thanks for you poo-poo your own party.
Yeah.
But you were conditioned to do.
Ultimately, again, it boils down to, if your client's happy with it, then you've done your job.
Yeah.
For me as an artist, it's never finished. It's never good enough. That was something I was taught in graphic design school, was that it's your critical self going, you know what? No, and I had an instructor tell me, they were like, you know what? There comes a point where you just have to shut it down and go, okay, don't touch it anymore, because you're just going to make it worse. And that literally is one of the hardest things to do, is to step away from a piece and go, okay, I'm done. I don't know how many times any of you guys have gone back to a piece of artwork and go, no, I got to add this. No, I got to do this.
No, because we can't afford to keep reprinting everything.
I mean, once it prints, it's done. That's it.
The beautiful thing about deadlines is that, they're short, but at least that there's a moment where you have to hand it over and you have to walk away and it's done.
Yeah, I did that with a commission over Christmas.
Yeah.
It was like, did that, and I was like, okay, here we go. And, I wasn't fully satisfied with it, but, they absolutely loved it. But, once it was done, I was like, okay, I got to let go of this.
Yeah.
Here you go. It's yours now. I can't do anything about it. Can't fix it.
Any other insights or questions?
I'm not sure how to word the question, or maybe you can use it as a jumping off point. I'm thinking about there are artists that make work for themselves, maybe not that sell something, but your type of work is very directly involved with the client, like the person making art for the way you can make it for them. There's that personal connection that makes it worth it to you. And so I'm thinking how there's artists that maybe lack that connection with the customer or the client for their type of artwork. It's not time for you, but it seems like that's a really important part of what you do.
I think when clients find, that's always something that we try to instill in clients, is to find the styles that fit you, that fit the type of art that you're looking for. I get people that will come in and still do the typical small little tattoos that they like, but then I've got a larger clientele that are specific based off of the style of work that I do. It's a style that's taken me years to develop, on my own, by looking at other people and watching how they do certain things. And then I develop my own way of doing things that creates the art that I do. it's not always a style that's appealing to others, but you know, they come to me because of the way it's done. That collaboration between my client and myself this is kind of what I'm looking for and what I want to do. They'll come with a concept, and then it's left to me to build that concept into something bigger and better than what they've come to me with. Once that happens, then the rest is all up to me. That's the faith that they put into me in the style that I have to create their art. Versus what they brought me. So
a big selling point for tattooing, at least compared to the graphic design or illustration or, you know, comic creation, is that they're not in on the process.
No.
They're not, when it comes to tattooing, like they're there, they're with you, they're having an experience, they're creating something with you. They're a part of something artistic, and that makes
they're a part of it. Although I don't want to say that they're not a part of the whole process, because once they bring it to you, I mean, ultimately the decision comes down to them to pull the trigger and go, okay, let's do this. Because when I design, once my design is done and it's shown to them, they'll either go, well, can we change this? Can we do this different? Which sometimes can go to the point of rescheduling that appointment, because, okay, now I got to go back and make a major adjustment to a piece, especially if it's large scale. If it's something that's smaller, that adjustment can be made right there and off we go. But if it's, you know, if I'm doing a full sleeve or a full leg sleeve of some sort, and there's an adjustment that has to be made, then by all means, we have to go back to the drawing board. We'll reschedule the appointment. We'll come back and we'll do this, and I'll generally send them that artwork and go, okay, this is what it is. I've got a leg sleeve that's coming in next week. That's the same scenario, you know, drew it all up, got it all put together. And he was like, I don't like this part. Okay, can we change? Okay, so let's take that out and let's do something different, put something else together. And then it's like, oh, okay, that's what I'm looking for. So,
and at least the art process of it, it's probably not much different than the graphic design or illustration, where you're sitting at your own desk, you know, just drawing while they're at work or living life like normal, just waiting for an email or a text, and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's cool, or yay or nay, you know. But like, and that's something that they get to watch you do the process and stuff, and they're a part of it. It's like the design or illustration that most general people care about, because they get to see it, and and they directly connect to it.
I mean, I'm sure that's probably a lot how you guys do stuff. The same scenario, you know, somebody commissions you to go, here, let's do this. I don't know if it just, you sit down, you draw it, and then you're like, here you go. And they're like, okay with that? Or if they go, well, you know, his arm should be probably bent. Can I have it bent a little more like that?
But they're not sitting there next to you while you're drawing.
No, because that's nerve wracking. It's like, okay, I need my space. That's why we reschedule, and then I can sit down at home and go through the process.
There's nothing therapeutic of waiting for an email.
No. No, that's a thing too. That, you know, they'll blow your phone up. You know, you book that appointment. Hey, you know, you got my artwork done. You know, 2 days after you booked it. Look, man, I ain't even started to put, you know, pencil on the paper yet, man. You know, you must be a first timer, because it doesn't work like that. You know, it's like, okay, you got to realize that I've got like probably 30 people in front of you. You know, granted, your appointment's like 4 weeks down the road, but no, I ain't got something done in 2 days. Sorry. I've got a whole book ahead of you that still needs to be completed, you know?
It is the ultimate deadline, is finally sitting down and working on them. And it's like, well, we could finish it all today, or you could tap out halfway through. Who knows? Right. So it's, you know, and they're there for it. There's no denying, you know, like they're not. It's a rush, and it's very stressful, but it's very rewarding. And
it is. You know, when you get that final outcome.
Yeah. I
mean, it's sometimes I wish I could post more, but when you're doing so many big pieces, it's like, I don't know. I guess anal retentive when it comes to stuff like that. You're always here, post it. Like, but it's not done.
But people like the process.
They like the process. I guess so. I mean, like,
they want your pieces on them, but they're like, I don't want to sit through that page.
I'm totally different with that. It's like, if it's not done, I don't want to share it.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's your choice.
That'd be like me doing one of my stained pieces and being halfway through the process and taking a picture and going, here we go. I'd be like, but wait, it's not done.
I think people like to see the decisions being made, and they like to see like the process of it. They're like, oh, I see, like, I don't know, it just feels more real. Because in the world of AI, like everything is fake. But when you see somebody actually like in the process,
right.
you see them making. That's why I like paintings where you see the brushstrokes. A person making choices.
But you got to look at it as that. Okay, so let's hypothetically say that here comes the joy of painting, and Bob Ross is like halfway through a painting, and he starts the happy tree. Oh, tune in tomorrow. They're like, wait, what? No, I want to see the whole happy tree. I want to see the rest of this.
Yeah.
But then I guess you would tune in next week to see him finish, the happy trees and the cabin in the snow. And,
but Bob Ross was good at making his paintings in 20 minutes or less. And he did 3 of them for every one that he filmed.
I know. I can't do that with
you do. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, none of this would be a problem if you could.
Right. No, leg sleeves, back pieces, or processes.
Do an 18 by 24 inch tattoo in 20 minutes.
If that was possible, that would be great. Make my life so much simpler.
Yeah,
but no, it doesn't work like that. I'm a tedious. I tattoo like I draw, and it's just a tedious process for me. There's some things that I can just whip through and know that I've got it. And then there's just pieces that I have to sit down and I know that, I'm going to invest 4 hours in a section that this is going to be this big, because it's so meticulous and I want to make sure it's perfect. And
spoken like a true artist.
But, it's crazy because there are some people that don't think that that's logical, that's not how it should be. There's a meme that runs around that's got a picture of an Iron Man that's sectioned done this big, 6 hours later, And I'm like, sometimes I've seen artists and watched live sessions of them spending 45 minutes on a section way big. And I'm like, okay, I get it. It's because they're meticulous about what they do and how they want it to look. And it's like, okay, trust the process. The process. I get it because I've done things, and thank goodness that I've got good clients that understand that process. That I've sat down and spent literally 4 hours on a segment yay big, but they get it. They're like, okay, no, cool. And I feel bad because it's like, well, we spent 4 hours on a 6x2 section. Right. Sorry. They're like, no, it's cool. I got it. I get it. I'm like, all right.
Do you feel that client can see the vision the way you see it?
Yeah, because that whole process has been planned out, from the get-go, to where we sit down and even as we're working, we're planning the next session and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So, I mean, they totally get that. I mean, it's good that we have that understanding that, okay, this is what we're going to do, why we're going to do it, how long, and for them to be that cool about it makes me feel better. I still feel bad because I feel like I should have done more.
It's that blue collar thing.
But,
be fast, be quick, be right.
I've heard other, people tell me in the past, well, you need to be faster. You need to be faster. You need to be faster. And I get that to an extent, but there's just that part of me that I don't work like that. My brain is wired differently to where it's like, I want to sit down and do this, to where I'm comfortable and I feel good about what I'm doing. It's no different than, like I said, one of my, pieces that I work on just to put in a frame. I'll work on it at my own pace. Sometimes there's pieces that have taken me 6 months to complete, but the end result, I'm happy with what's happened. You know, I don't want to look at it later and just be like, wow, I should have slowed down there. I should have done this. You know, it's trying to get through what I need to get through. You know, we set deadlines, and if we can't make it, we don't make it. You know, that's just how it is. You know, I've got a leg sleeve that we've kind of got a deadline because I want to show it, but it's like, if we don't meet it, we don't meet it. You know, it'll be okay. I'll get to it next time.
Yeah.
You know, it's always going to be there. So.
Well, David, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us, man.
No, I appreciate it.
It's an awesome privilege to have you, dude.
Appreciate it.
But if you guys have anybody who's watching this have any questions, feel free to, you know, ask them away in the comments or in the or
touch base or
whatever platform this gets posted on. But please, we'll be watching. We'll be paying attention. Please ask away.
Want to get tattooed?
Look forward to having you again sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.